So Skip, in your talk, you spoke about mission trips that are supposed to transform, but what exactly are we wanting to transform from and to?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kendra. You know, I was on a Habitat for Humanity local site one time, and a guy who was a very thoughtful business analyst said, you know, I'd be more comfortable with donating to the mission trip program if I thought you were being more efficient in use of resources and getting houses built. Why are you traveling for these mission trips? Why don't you just put the kids on a bus and send them up to Bridgeport during the morning, and then they can go home at night? You'll save airfare, you'll save food, you'll save travel expenses. And the answer, of course, is, well, actually, if we only wanted to build houses in Bridgeport, if building the house was the principal reason for the trip, we wouldn't even put the kids on a bus. We would just cut a check for some very talented contractors who would love to have the work to do the work instead. Ultimately, it's a wonderful thing that we get work done, that we build houses or that we build institutions, and this can help transform a community, but I don't think there's ever been a mission trip where the amount of money spent on housing and transportation could not have created more work, more outcomes by just sending a check. So it raises the question, there must be some other reason for a mission trip than just the end outcome of construction. And I think that means every youth minister ought to be thinking, well, what's the theology? What's the anthropology? What's the psychology? Why am I doing a mission trip? And that why question will then drive the how question about how you do the mission trip to accomplish the goal you set. And then, in fact, if you think about it a little bit, since mission trips are such a dynamic and important part of a youth ministry year, actually, the why question of why you do youth ministry should come first, some reflection on the theology of youth ministry, and then whatever your purpose and mission of doing youth ministry will drive why you do the mission trip, and then that will drive how you do the mission trip. When you start backing up the question to why do youth ministry, well, there isn't any one consensus answer to that. Different traditions, different denominations, different folks have different theologies of youth ministry, different mission statements for why they do it. I'm not really here to advocate one or the other, except that you think about it and be reflective about why you're doing youth ministry so that the mission trip drives your mission. In our particular youth ministry, we're moved by Andy Root's comment in an article he wrote with Kenda Cressy Dean. Youth ministry is not so different than the rest of ministry. It's the flock that's different, not the goal. And so Andy has spoken in this program about the importance of authentic relationships rather than instrumental relationships, that we are not just loving kids or ministering to them so that they join a church, so that they be disciples of Christ, so that they don't do drugs, so that they do healthy behaviors. We're ministering to them to be in relationship, to manifest the love of God. And that drives our particular mission. We want our youth ministry to nurture the possibility of young people sharing and experiencing the love of God. Once you set that up as your mission, you begin to have to think about, well, what are the experiences, the practices, the things that you're going to do as a youth group to facilitate that, and you're going to come up something like what we come up with is we want to facilitate the sharing of the experience of the love of God by nurturing a community that's characterized by unconditional love and acceptance, by clear and understandable covenantal boundaries and commitments, by a sense of participation in something larger than yourself. That drives our youth group year, then that's the transformation we want to see on the mission trip itself. We want a transformation where, having taken them away from their home, they engage in the practices of the daily life, the values around unconditional love and acceptance, clear and understandable covenantal boundaries, and participation in something larger than yourself in the way they live on the mission trip, which we think creates the possibility of experiencing the grace of God in their encounter with one another and in the people we go to serve.